Hello everyone, welcome back to the Stitches and Scribbles channel. My name is Erin and we're here for another podcast episode today. I'm so sorry if you can hear background noise. It is very cold out today and I don't want to turn my heat off because my basement's really cold, like colder than the rest of the house is. Two, I did try to turn it off and it kept running, so I don't know if it's on a delay. But it's back on and definitely running in the background, so you're going to hear some background noise. I can't really do anything about it at this time, so I apologize. I'm hoping that eventually I can get like a microphone or something to wear so that the house noises are not as much of a problem in videos, but I also don't know if anyone can actually notice. I notice it when I watch my videos back to edit them, but I don't notice it in other people's videos, or at least not to the point that it's distracting. So anyway, my heater's on. You can hear it in the background. We're just going to deal with it. It has been a really busy week. So I think I was trying to figure out the last time I filmed a podcast, I think was Monday of last week. I don't even remember now. I know that, my plan... Oh, I must have filmed it on Tuesday of last week. Yeah, filmed it on Tuesday last week. So far, my original plan of filming podcasts on Monday has not happened, a single week since the beginning of 2023. My podcasts come out on Wednesdays, so when I originally, set up my new video schedule of that podcast would come out on Wednesdays and other videos would come out on Fridays, my goal was to always film podcasts on Mondays so that I had 2 full days or 48 hours at least to edit and upload the video. And that seemed like a good theory and concept. A good concept in theory. My brain is fried. It hasn't actually happened because I did the first one early because I knew that I was busy, and then the last couple weeks I think I did them on Tuesday, so it's another Tuesday filming day. And the reason I did that is because I subbed today and yesterday, so I didn't get to film during the day either day. And yesterday I had stuff to do after school, so I had to do my podcast today, but that's fine. We're here. We're ready to... Well, no, it's not even going to be a low-key couple of days. I've got so many things to do this week that it's just going to be crazy, and that's fine. That's just how this week's going to go. But I did end up doing quite a bit of knitting. So last week I subbed only on Monday, but had not a bad cold, but enough that I noticed it and enough that it slowed me down for a couple of days. Luckily not while I was subbing, but the next couple days after that. So I didn't really do a ton of video stuff. I did film one video that you'll see Friday, this coming Friday as you're watching this. I was toying with the idea of doing some craft with me videos that were just music. Usually when I do a crafting vlog, I stop and talk about each step, but I wanted to do some that were just a half an hour, almost ambiance video. I know I really enjoy animated ambiance videos, so I wanted to try kind of creating one. So I did get to film that last week and work on one of my projects while I was doing it, obviously, because that's what what the nature of the video is. But because I wasn't feeling well and because of some other tasks I had to do, I didn't end up filming that until I think Saturday, and I do really try to not do work over the weekends. I make exceptions for working on craft projects because that's kind of yes, it's work sort of, because sometimes it's a custom order, sometimes it's going in a YouTube video or for an Instagram post or stuff like that. But generally I try not to do any filming or editing over the weekend, even with Vlogmas. Obviously, I was filming for Vlogmas, but I was trying to save the, like, editing sessions for during the week just to keep... Oh, the heater turned off. That's nice. Hopefully it'll be gone for a little while. But I do try to keep sort of that dividing line. Otherwise, I am afraid that I would fall into, like, working all the time. Especially if I ever get to a point where my channel is monetized, I could very easily see myself falling into that if I didn't make a pretty harsh line between the week and the weekend. But all of that's to say that I did film last weekend. And part of the reason for that was not feeling well, but also I was out of the house all day on Thursday last week because one of my family members had some, like, house teams come in. They were, like, redoing floors and stuff. So I was at that family member's house all day on Thursday with no Wi-Fi. So I just brought some projects to work on and plugged through like 90% of an audiobook, which was very fun to just like sit and listen to an audiobook all day. And also they were projects that I needed to get done, so that was really good. If you've watched, well, let's talk about the book first. So the book I was listening to was actually Tom Felton's autobiography. If you don't know who that is, he's the actor who played Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter films. And I absolutely loved it. I'm so glad that I went with the audiobook version because he reads his autobiography. So it's in his voice. It's like, feels like you're just listening to him telling stories, which I know that that's exactly what that is. But I have found that if I'm going to read a biography, which I don't do super often, but when I do read when I do read autobiographies, I like to get the audiobook version only if it's narrated by the person who wrote it. So obviously I just listened to Tom Felton's. I've also listened to Lauren Graham's autobiography. She's the actress who played Lorelai Gilmore on Gilmore Girls. I've listened to Lindsay Sterling's autobiography. She is a famous violin player and is known for absolutely incredible shows, but also her incredible YouTube videos and like movie music covers. But I really enjoy listening to the author tell their stories in their own voice. So I absolutely loved Tom Felton's autobiography. It's called Beyond the Wand. And most of it is talking about being on set for the Harry Potter films. It's talking about all of the other actors. And there's some other life events in there too, obviously. Like he talks about being on the Borrowers film when he was younger. But I really, really enjoyed it. And it was kind of fun to revisit Harry Potter through the lens of someone who like helped make it happen. I used to really be in the habit of rereading the entire Harry Potter series every year. And I haven't done that in a while because Harry Potter for me, like, I loved the original books and the original films. But since like the last of the original series movies came out, I feel like it just hasn't been the same. And I know we've gotten a lot of cool Harry Potter stuff that has happened in theory in the last couple years, and I recognize that this is a huge tangent and not about knitting or crochet or craft projects at all. So if you're here for the knitting stuff, you might want to like skip ahead a few minutes. But I, first of all, did not like The Cursed Child when it came out. I never saw a stage adaptation of it. And for explanation purposes, if you don't know what that is, it is a sequel to the Harry Potter books that's supposed to take place when the like original characters are in their like maybe 40s and their kids are attending Hogwarts. And conceptually, I love that idea. I would have loved a really well-written, immersive, like, sequel that could start its own series. But I don't think that was it. To me, Cursed Child felt like reading very bad fan fiction. And I don't read a lot of fan fiction, but I've read a couple. It didn't make any sense to me. A lot of the characters, it seemed like their personalities completely changed, or there were just there were more parts of that story that didn't make sense than ones that did. And I found myself not enjoying it because it didn't feel warm and fuzzy and familiar, which is how the continuation of, like, a children's series should be. And I understand Harry Potter deals with some, like, dark topics, but I would want to be, like, excited to see where these characters were going and excited to read about their kids. And I wasn't excited. It was just like, oh, what are they going to throw at these characters next? Or why did they do that? Or this doesn't feel like something that the character would have originally done. And obviously, like, it's up to the author's interpretation. But I don't know, something really changed after the original 7 books were published. I don't know if it's, like, Harry Potter was big even before the last book came out, but it seemed cheapened after that, if that makes sense. It seemed like it became something that was being written to pull in more income, not something that was being written to continue the story. And I know there's a lot of people out there who did like Cursed Child, although I think more people disliked it than liked it. But I actually had the same feeling about Fantastic Beasts, to the point of where I never watched the 3rd Fantastic Beasts movie. I read the first screenplay, watched the first movie, thought it was okay, but again, it wasn't something I was excited about. Like, yes, the animation was beautiful and it was cool to see all these cool creatures, but I didn't find myself very invested in the story. Definitely not the same way that I was with the original characters. And then when the second one came out, I was really disappointed with what they did with some of the characters. And it's been out for a while, so I don't think it's any big spoilers, but I'll be vague in case someone hasn't seen it. There were some characters that made decisions and adopted ideologies that I felt did not fit with how the character was set up. And I realized some of that's intentional. It was trying to show how good people can be affected by harmful ideas. But it didn't feel like it was making a point. It felt like the writing was not consistent with the character, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping that either the new Harry Potter material just stops, or that we go back to something that the fans actually want to see. Like, I know there was a lot of fans really wanted a Marauders era series. That's been talked about on social media for years, of like that's really what people want. They want to see the Marauders when they were in Hogwarts and see like that era and the lead up to like the Order of the Phoenix and all of that. And I also agree that I would love to see that. However, with the way that like current Harry Potter things are being written and produced, I think it would end up being very dissatisfying to see. So I'd almost rather like encourage the fan produced content for that topic, because I think if it ever actually was written at this point with the way things are going, that it wouldn't be what people want it to be. And I know that an author has no obligation to write what fans want, but at this point, like, Harry Potter was such a big part of my childhood that it just feels disappointing to keep seeing things as an adult that don't fit with the nostalgia that I remember. So that's my Harry Potter rant. All of that just from, telling you I read Tom Felton's autobiography. And while I was reading Tom Felton's autobiography, or listening to it, I worked on my baby projects that I started a couple weeks ago at this point. I don't know how long I've been working on these, but I thought I would show you. So the first thing that I finished while I was there is a blanket, and I believe I had the main section of the blanket done in the last podcast, but I did add the I-cord edging to the blanket, and I filmed a mini tutorial for the I-cord edging on TikTok, but I can't release it until after I gift this item because the person who it's going to does follow me on TikTok. And while I know like she knows how to get to my YouTube, she's not like an avid YouTube watcher, and she doesn't craft, so she wouldn't sit and listen to a super long podcast. So I think talking about it on here is totally safe, but TikToks will just like pop up on your For You page. So I can't post it to TikTok until after the end of January. But yeah, I love this color combo. I kind of wish that this main color yarn, the variegated one, hadn't been discontinued. I got it from Hobby Lobby possibly over a year ago at this point. At the very least, it was last summer when they did their clearance event, because I just stocked up on some baby yarn because that was a pretty big section of my store's clearance. But I really like how it turned out. I think the colors are really cute. I've done a almost identical blanket with the same base yarn in a different colorway. It was like greens and browns, almost like baby camo colors. And then I did the edge in green. So I would love it if this yarn or a similar yarn came back. It doesn't even need to be at Hobby Lobby, just somewhere where I can get it regularly. Also, pro tip, if you have a lot of baby blankets to knit, I know that baby blankets are traditionally made in like a really lightweight, thin yarn, but chunky baby blankets make the process so much faster, and then it's different, and it also is going to be a better surface for like laying the baby down to like hang out on the floor for a little while or play with toys. So chunky baby blankets, highly recommend. The other thing I worked on while listening to Beyond the Wand was this baby sweater, and I do need to weave the ends in, so you'll see those hanging out. But it's this cute little baby sweater. I am so proud of it. I've definitely never made a baby garment before, and I realize this is closer to toddler size. That was intentional. I don't think I've ever made a pullover sweater before. I'm pretty sure this was the first one that I made. I used a free pattern that I found on Pinterest, but then I definitely changed a couple things. First of all, I swapped the yarn and the needle size, which meant that the yarn was the same weight. I went down a needle size to match what was recommended for the yarn. So I ended up with kind of a chunkier sweater where the stitches are closer together, but that made it sized down slightly from the original pattern size. And the reason I did that was because the baby is due in March, and I wanted the sweater to fit starting in like somewhere between October to December, like when it starts to get cold out. And the original pattern was for 12 to 18 month sizes, so that math didn't work. So I went down a needle size to bring the size of the garment down a little bit, with the hopes that it's, maybe a little bit oversized in October, but will last through March when it's cold out. The other change that I made, the original pattern had just rolled edges for the bottom, the neckline, and the sleeves, and I did a ribbed edge instead, and I also did it in a contrasting color, which was not part of the pattern. The pattern originally was for all one color. But I'm really happy with those changes. I think this turned out super cute. I also made the sleeves a little bit shorter because I knew that the overall garment was shorter, so I didn't knit the sleeves to the same length that was outlined in the pattern. I did make the body the same length, which is why it's a little bit of a like long sweater. But yeah, I'm very, very proud of this. Can't wait to gift it after I weave in all of those ends. But that will probably be the last time that you see those items on the podcast. So that was my baby items, and those were the two big things that I needed to finish for January because the shower is at the end of the month. And other than that, I don't have a ton of like really big projects that I'm working on. I am starting to get to the point of realizing that the next couple months are going to be busier than I thought they were going to be. I have quite a few orders and things that I will need to be working on. So since I've got the time right now, I'll go ahead and kind of explain what the plan is. So the first thing, which I still don't know if it's actually going to happen or not, mostly because I've never done this before, but I have a craft fair booth at a farmer's market over the summer that runs every week. This is now the second year that I've done it. I'll be doing it again this summer. One of the ladies who organizes that goes to a hair salon that is also a boutique, which I realize is like a big jump from what I was talking about. But she had purchased a purse from me that she brought with her to the hair salon. And the owner of the hair salon really liked it and reached out to me on Instagram probably in maybe November or early December, saying like that she wanted to talk to me about doing a bulk order of stuff. Well, not a bulk order, but like a few things to add to her boutique collection. And I've never worked with a store before, and it was right before filming Vlogmas. So I told her, and I had some other custom orders that needed to be done before Christmas. So I told her like, hey, December is kind of insane for me. Can we reevaluate in January? So she said, yes, absolutely. So I need to call her this week because I haven't done that yet and see what kind of items she had in mind. Unfortunately, the purse that she saw from the person I work with at the farmer's market, they don't make that yarn anymore, so I can't do an exact replica of the thing that she saw that she was originally interested in. But I know she was at least interested in scrunchies, and I do have a lot of those in my stash. So that one, I'm kind of nervous about it because, as I said before, I've never worked with a shop before. I've always been just, and I say always, I've been doing this for, not yet 2 years at this point. But I've only ever been an independent vendor. I've never worked with another business before. I don't really know what that looks like or what to expect. I'm kind of hoping that a lot of the stuff she's interested in will be stuff that I already have so that I don't need to make a ton of things to deliver to her. I'm hoping that some of the stuff that I already have made can be part of her order. I also don't know if she's interested in small accessories. The scrunchies make sense because it's hair salon, but I don't really have any other hair stuff. I have jewelry and I have not the bag that she saw, but I have other bag designs that I do. So I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm excited. I definitely need to call her and figure out what the first step is. Do I bring in samples to show her? But it's her business, so she probably has a procedure for how she does stuff like this. But I'm just really excited for the opportunity. Even if it doesn't work out and I don't end up working with this salon, I'm excited to see the process of okay, what would this look like if I was to work with a brick and mortar store? I have worked with an online shop before. I've made children's hats for a friend who runs an online business. But that was almost I don't want to say easier, just different, because with those, she would keep like one of each color on hand, and then if she needed another one, she'd message me and I'd just make it real fast. And those were knitting machine beanies. And it was like one item. Like we stocked it in a couple colors, but it was only one item that I was keeping track of, versus I don't know what this is going to look like. Also, the advantage of being like a craft fair vendor is I don't have to pick items that are, the materials are constantly in stock. Like when I make earrings, I don't pick beads that I know will be available forever. Like I'll pick seasonal things, I'll get it from different places. I don't really like only pick things that I know I can get continuously, which is more fun for me as the creator because I can make like small batches of things and not have to worry about restocking. And because I'm just a little table at craft fairs and farmers markets, I don't need to restock. It's not like a permanent establishment. I don't know. So I'm excited. I'm very nervous for the phone call. I do not like phone calls. But we'll get through it and see how it goes. So I have that going on. I also have a friend who's getting married, and she's a family friend, and my mom and I are planning her bridal shower, and her favorite color is purple, and one of the things I sell at my farmer's market stand is lavender sachets that are knit using the knitting machine. So we decided that that would be a good favor for the bridal shower, which is very fun. They're going to be very cute, but I still have to make them. So that's a definite, like, it's going to take me hopefully only like 1 or 2 days to make them all, because they don't take that long to make, but my arm eventually gets tired with the knitting machine. So I hope that those turn out okay, but I should probably get started on them because the shower's in April. I'm also going to have a dedicated YouTube video to that so that you can kind of see all the stuff that we're making, because it's not just the lavender sachets. We're like putting together some little prize bags and doing some other stuff. So I'll do as much of the process as I can film, obviously like keeping information private and stuff like that. So that if you're in a similar situation of planning a bridal shower, you can maybe get some ideas. So I'll have that. I'm considering like a bulk order in my for my planning purposes, even though like no one's paying me to do that. Like my mom is paying for the supplies or helping me with the supplies. There are some things that I'm buying and some things she's buying. But yeah, that's a whole thing. And what was the, and for the same friend who's getting married, I'm making gifts for her and her mom, and I'm making virus shawls. I showed it in the last podcast. I'm not going to show it in this one because honestly I haven't made any progress on that one yet. So I started with my friends, and hers is going to be in ivory, and then the one I'm making for her mom is in navy, which you can actually see. I always point the wrong direction. It's that navy yarn right there with the gold like sparkly thread to go with it, and then the one for my friend is ivory and silver. So I need to make those, and the problem with those is that even though like I eventually get the hang of like the virus stitch, and the granny stitch is obviously really easy, I always need to watch a tutorial to like get back into it and remember how to do it. So the first few rows are always really long because I have to watch a video in order to do it. And also you have to count the whole time, which usually if I'm like sitting and watching TV or listening to a podcast, like the countings doesn't bother me. But that means I can't like work on it while talking to people. I can't really do it like in the car. It just ends up limiting the number of places or circumstances where I can work on it, if that makes sense. Like I can't take it to my craft club at the library because we're talking the whole time. Like I wouldn't make any progress. I try to take really easy projects that don't require counting to events like that. So I gotta get all that stuff done. I think that's it for stuff like that, I'm pretty sure. So right now, I know once I like get going, it won't feel as stressful as it does right now the second, but that's like a huge number of things for me. And I'm very excited that that's the case. Especially because like with the bridal shower, like you never know if someone there will then consider like ordering from me for a different event or something like that. Or like with working with the salon, if that means that this could be like a permanent partnership situation. So it's very exciting, but right now it's making me very nervous. And I think it's like, also I picked up more sub days in January than I think I've ever had in a single month before. Like, I think I'm subbing over 10 days in January, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you consider that like there's usually only like 22 to 25 like school days in a given month, like 12 days is a lot. That's like half. And like I'm all over the place. I'm not with the same grade every time. So it's been a little challenging to like squeeze things in between subbing days. But I only have one more sub day for January, which is awesome. And then like I also have some other like small tasks I'm doing for a friend who runs her own business. So it's felt like a lot of things, and it's been a lot of new things. So I'm working through it. And also like, this one's my fault, but deciding to go back to doing 2 videos a week in the midst of all this was probably not the smartest decision, but I'm gonna stick with it because I do like filming YouTube videos. That is fun for me. It's just another thing that has to get done. So yeah, that's what my busy life is like. But the other project that I've been working on, this has become my easy couch project. I finally started my Something Cozy sweater, and I actually finished the entire back panel. So I know this doesn't look like much. It is just a big rectangle. It also looks gigantic, but this sweater is designed to be very oversized. So, and it's also designed to be cropped. I did not knit mine to a cropped length. It maybe would be slightly cropped, but I think I want to add a, I keep trying to hold it. I think I want to add a ribbed edge to the bottom, just because I feel like a rolled edge is going to drive me nuts. So, or like, I don't think I would mind a rolled neckline, but I know I wouldn't want the rolls at the edge, because then like you can feel them if you're like sitting in a chair or something like that. So, but I did the back panel. And this is actually also the project you'll see during the Silent Craft With Me video, although it's not silent, it's got music in it. So the Craft With Me video where I just sit and work on things and you get to listen to music, that video will feature this project. So yeah, I'm now on the front panel, which starts exactly the same way as the back panel, as I believe most paneled pullover sweaters do. And I am using the Karen Cloud Cakes for that. And I'm using a color called, I think it's Cloud Gray, which they don't make anymore. Or if they do, you can't get it from Michael's. I don't know, does Karen have their own website? I realize now that I've never actually looked for that. Let me know if Karen has their own website. I'm now curious. But I've been really disappointed lately with the lack of consistency from the Karen yarn at Michael's. It seems like they're now more interested in having like new constantly rotating things instead of like staples that I know will be there. And I think I've expressed this in previous podcast episodes, But like, I really liked the Karen Skinny Cakes for making prayer shawls. And now they don't have the Karen Skinny Cakes anymore. And there's some right there. It looks like I've got 3 of them. It's the blue and green, the like teal and purple, and the teal and orange are all Karen Skinny Cakes. And originally I was using those for prayer shawls, but I have since figured out that like some prayer shawl designs would need 2 of them instead of 1. So I can't use those for prayer shawls unless I find a coordinating yarn to go with it. And I'm kind of just disappointed that they don't have those anymore because I really liked them. I thought it was a good dupe for like some of the Hobie yarns that are like very colorful and self-striping, or even like it's kind of similar to the Lion Brand Mandala, but with like a different set of colors. So I'm kind of bummed that those aren't there anymore, at least not at my Michaels. And the Cloud Cakes was one where it was new, I think maybe this past spring or summer, so like 6 months to 9 months ago. And I was really excited about them because it came in both solid colors and self-striping. It was really soft. It was washable. I was hoping that that was going to be like a new staple yarn. And they took it away for a while and re-released it. I think you can still get it in stores, but the ones in stores now are different colorways than the original ones. So they don't have the gray anymore. So I'm glad that I already had a sweaters quantity of the gray, and I think that's why I bought those. I bought 3 of them originally, and each cake is like 700 yards or something. So they have it right now if you're interested. They just don't have that gray color. They've got a couple other neutrals, and I think like a bright blue and maybe a green and some self-striping ones, but they don't have the gray. But I'm hoping that we'll keep getting those, even if it's not there all the time, if it's like occasionally available or available online. Like, I'd be happy with that. I just really like that yarn, so I'd like it to stick around. But I've noticed that with like Michaels definitely has their like loops and thread and the Craft Smart line that's always there, and some of the like baby yarns and like the Bernat blanket. But a lot of their other stuff now seems to be in like a constant rotation where things don't stay for very long. They come in really expensive and then are immediately clearanced like 2 to 3 weeks later. But then when it's gone, it's gone. And I don't really like that vibe. I'd rather like, I know that companies need to like experiment with new things, and you can't keep like every single yarn you've ever created always available. But it seems like a really fast rotation. So let me know if you also are struggling with that. And I really want to like Michaels. I want Michaels to be my favorite craft store that I go to because they give me the best discount for being a teacher. But I find that more often than not, I can't find what I'm looking for at Michaels anymore. And they also like decrease the amount of yarn they have because they have like the fabric area now. So I'm just kind of disappointed with them. I do like them for beads, and I like them for like paint and canvases and like my bullet journal supplies and seasonal things, but it's definitely not my favorite big box craft store for yarn. I think Joann and Hobby Lobby are probably tied for that. I use Hobby Lobby yarn a lot for my craft fair vendor stuff because I like the I Love This Yarn brand, and it has the most colors that are available consistently, if that makes sense. So like, even though it's almost the same as like the Big Twist yarn, like the basic Big Twist yarn from Joann, it has more colors available, and it's really soft. So I do go to Hobby Lobby for most of my craft fair vendor needs. But then if I'm looking for stuff for personal projects and I still want like a budget yarn, I go to Joann. So I went on a lot of tangents today. I don't know if it was like because I didn't talk to anyone like at all today. And I did sub today, but it's standardized testing season. And because I do have experience as a middle school teacher, I know how to run the standardized tests, which meant that the teacher I was subbing for was able to like let me run the standardized tests while she was gone. And I did have another teacher with me the first day because we just put like the whole grade together to do testing. But today I was running the standardized tests by myself, which is fine. Like, I've done it before, but it meant the whole day was like really quiet and I didn't talk to anybody except at lunch. I went and sat with some of the staff members in the lunchroom or in the teacher's lounge. But otherwise, I just like read on my computer all day, which is cool that like I get to just read while kids are doing stuff. But that makes for a very long, very quiet day. I did finish one book today that I really liked. I read, I think it was called Hidden Pictures by, I'm going to look it up. But it was a really well written, like, horror book that was slightly paranormal. Slightly paranormal. A lot of the paranormal things you find out aren't actually paranormal. They just seemed like they were, but there was a paranormal element. It's called Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. Looks like that. This is my Storygraph app, by the way. If you like Goodreads but want more data for tracking your reading, highly recommend Storygraph. But it was a really good thriller, and I read the whole thing. I started it at the end of the day yesterday and finished it today. So I am well ahead of my reading goal for the year already. My goal was, I think, to read 30 books, and I've already read 6. I tend to read a lot when I'm subbing if the kids are like taking a test or something. So the last 2 days has been like me just reading on my computer while kids take tests. Which is nice, but it means that my brain is kind of fried at the end of the day. And clearly I felt the need to just be chatty today because this has ended up being a longer podcast episode, or at least longer than the previous one, especially considering that I showed you 2 finished objects and 1 whip. There was not actually that much to show you. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for this week now that I have rambled away for over 40 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you're notified every time I post a new video. Also make sure you like and comment because that helps my video be seen by more people here on YouTube. And my goal is to eventually get monetized. That would be lovely if I could start making money off of these videos. If you want to follow me on other social media, that information will also be in the description box below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone!